Thank you all for inviting me. It's a real honour. I mean, AES has always been a huge part of my life as a kid, even reading journals and looking and meeting some of the really high-end people in the States as well. It's quite special. It's been a bit of a dream for me, this whole journey with RØDE. I never expected it. I started with my dad in a little shop. Well, actually, my first memory is in Sweden. He's a Londoner. I was born in Sweden, so I don't know anything else. It's my 41st year in pro audio working full time this year, so I want long service leave. I'm not going to get it, am I? So yeah, I'm managing director, founder of RØDE. We also own a company called Afex. I don't know if anybody remembers Afex from the 70s. I love it. I bought that and it's like, wow, I got Afex. This is really cool. And I bought Event Electronics, which I did out of Ego, which is a studio monitor company. And I do have probably the best two-way studio monitor in the world, but I should have just put 6 million in a pile and lit it because it would have had some heat coming off it. Would have been better. It was a nightmare. But live and learn. You got to make mistakes. You got to try to learn, eh? So as I said, real honour to be here. Thank you all so very, very much. Pro audio, like you guys, is my life. There's no question. I would do it no matter what. And I always try, when I speak to young people and trying to work out where they want to be, I say, okay, if you were given billions of dollars, what would you do? And then that's usually the answer. I say, well, that's what you should do. And that's me. I don't care what. Money's not it. This is what I do. I would do. I have to do it. It's in my soul. So I used to, when I kicked off RØDE, which is a funny story, and I am going to focus a bit on business tonight with this because it's an important part of the story. But when I sort of started getting some success with RØDE, I dreamt of selling 500 mics a year. That would get me out of trouble. And as you said, over 1 million this year, which I just can't believe. I hope I don't wake up and it's not real because it's ridiculous and it's growing like crazy. And the wireless system that I'm wearing right now, I wanted to do wireless 16 years ago and then started the project and then found I didn't have the money or the technology, so I canned it. But we've just released this about 18 months ago. We're now the #1 in the world in that category, and I've got about 6 new ones coming. It's a lot of dough to do wireless, but it's a very, very good area. Everybody wants wireless, always have, so it's pretty cool. I'm also, this acquiring companies thing, it's like everybody in business, if you can find old, cool brands that have not been looked after, it's really special. It's hard to find, less and less of them around, but I've got one more coming, and in the next couple of weeks you'll hear about it, you'll all know it. And I'm kind of blown out that I've got it, so it's very cool. I can't tell you. I have to kill you. Yeah, I know that's what I'm doing. It's true though, isn't it? So yeah, my earliest memories, my father working in Sweden, he did, everybody know Dynacord, I don't know if you remember that, the old valve amps and the incredible tape machines of the day back in the 60s, Bayer mics, all that kind of stuff. That was my memory as a kid, listening to bands my dad was mixing or installs. Yeah, that was, and when we came here in '66, he had the absolute best gear in the country. He made his own design cabinets with 12-inch drives. Nobody else was doing it, so he kind of ruled supreme. But he started getting sick around '69, and with heart problems, and so I was too young to take over then. And the business kept on rolling along, but it wasn't what it could have been if I had been older or he hadn't got sick, I suppose. And then because Woodstock kicked off and everybody was doing these big folded horns which are unfolding and huge power amps and mixing consoles and separate foldback, etc., which I did dabble in and tried to talk my dad into doing, and it was the most stupid thing. He was right, I was an idiot. But at the time I thought I was a genius. So no, he wouldn't have done it anyway, but it was totally wrong. But when I look back, I think it was a holy shit, did this all happen? We're writing a book at the moment. It's our 50th year of Freedman Electronics in January next year. And we're writing this book, as I said, and I can't believe how many things have happened. It's like 5 lifetimes, You keep, as you start doing things, I hear that and this and that. It's insane. So hopefully I'll be able to get you all a book, and then you'll too say, no, that's not possible. But it is. We did it. So yeah, working with my dad after school and also then full time. And he was such a good, he's a natural engineer, probably the best I've ever met. And I met some cool ones like, I was telling Neville Teal, and I was lucky enough to meet Paul Klipsch years ago, Les Paul, all these people, amazing guys that I've met along the way. I didn't know at the time what an honour it was to talk to them, but I put my dad right up there. And he's self-taught. I think he had dyslexia. I learning difficulties, and I have it as well. I was actually invited to leave high school because it wasn't any point hanging around. So I didn't get any real high school, or and certainly didn't go to uni. But I came here. I was 8. I couldn't speak English, and I hadn't started school, so I didn't read or write or anything at about 8 or 9. So it was a bit tough, and getting your head punched in every day, not that good either. So I was the only little walk boy in school. Awesome, character building. All right. Do I feel sorry for myself? No, not really. Okay. But anyway, Dad used to drive me nuts. I'm working on a valve amp, so I'm sitting there for hours, and he'd just walk past after about 2 hours and go, point, it's that, and walk off, and he'd be right. Do my head in every time, because he was just so good at it. He met my mum in '52 in London, and she was from Sweden. That's why they went back to Sweden. That's where I was born. And they were there for a long time. And Dad, I'm actually wearing his cufflinks at the moment. I always wear them on any special occasion. These are cufflinks he got when he left the company he was working for in Sweden. And they were pretty weird in those days. You couldn't get a job without a work permit. You couldn't get a work permit without a job in Sweden. They had it completely xenophobic, cut off. But he managed to get into a company doing assembly work at an intercom company, and they were trying to go from valves to transistors, and he stayed at home tinkering and developed one and showed it one day to the engineers, and it became their biggest seller, and he became chief engineer, which was awesome. But it went on till the sort of middle 60s, and he decided it was time to get out because he didn't have the maths, and he could see it. He could see the writing on the wall, I suppose. He wanted to go out and top without saying, hey, I can't do it. So sad in some ways, but that's life. But he got the distribution rights for Dynacord in Australia, and that's one of the main reasons we came here. And as I said, it took off, doing clubs all around in Sydney. If you guys know, all around the Crosshair, Checkers, Silver Spade Room, and the Chevron, every entertainer you could think of in a day, even the stadium there. Tom Jones, Bobby Gentry, Jerry Lewis, I don't know. Maybe I'm talking about, you guys know all these, you know these acts, don't you? Yeah. They're the top of the top. When I remember seeing them as a kid, Sammy Davis Jr., etc., even in the stadium. Anybody been to the stadium in Sydney? That's in Rushcutters Bay? Yeah, they think they pulled it down in 1971. Anyway, so, when Mum and Dad kick it off, they're doing everything, and they're working a couple of jobs each, picking us up. I never knew the difference because, one would come home, the other one would go to work, so they worked bloody hard. People in a hurry, I suppose. But yeah, I wrote to Tom Jones last year, actually thanking him for putting me through school, the first part, and feeding us and buying houses, because he did. He certainly did, because the thing was, it was good enough for him, it was good enough for me. That's what all the customers used to say. It was pretty awesome. But yeah, the workshop was always home for me as a kid, and then as I got older, I started getting involved in rock stuff, mixing bands, in pubs and clubs, and also everything from rock bands to Phyllis Diller. It was really weird change, variation. And I don't know if anybody's done sound in clubs, or some of the old clubs, you're in upstairs and you're in a bio box and you through a little window like this, and you might sort of do that, and you can sort of look down on the stage, and you're supposed to mix from there. You can't hear or anything, can't even see. So I got really clever at running downstairs and listening to the sound and coming back up and then learning what the difference was and going, yeah, when it sounds shit like that up here, it's pretty good down there. And you can do it. It's actually interesting, you're talking about people who, there's a guy, Al Schmidt, I call him Mr. Grammys, I think he's got 24 of them. And Al's probably 86, 87 years old, so obviously his hearing is dropping off, but he does McCartney still, he does heaps of people. And so that high end that he's lost is irrelevant. He can still mix as good or better than anybody else, because his brain compensates for the whole thing. He knows what it sounds like. It's really cool. So people go, oh, you can't mix because you can't hear. That's not true. Yeah, brain is interesting stuff. Yeah, so the bigger sound systems started coming in after Woodstock, folded horns, as I said, big power amps, all these mixing consoles, and we couldn't do it because I was still a kid. But I then started working full time. I did a little bit of electronic study, but I had to go and work because Dad was sick, and then I spent 11, 12 years, running cables in roofs, eating rat shit, sucking in asbestos. It's again quality stuff. And smoking, it's all good. But it teaches you a lot, and I did hundreds of installs. It was great, and selling them and doing them, and many times falling asleep in the van afterwards after a few weeks of work. And then I even got into doing my own nightclub once for about a year and a half, and it was in Sydney at a place called South Juniors. I don't know if you've heard of that. Big, massive. It kicked off, we were getting a few thousand people a night after, they had nothing. I made more money in one day than I would have normally in a year. It was ridiculous. And as a 20-year-old, that's not good. It was very bad. Just went and bought cars and just, super big alcoholics, super violent, because it's just full of, fighting and drinking and madness. And then I used to say at the end of the night it was a sea of blood, glass and vomit when you turned the light on. It was quite amazing. Nightclub. But I learned a lot about marketing, people, and it's interesting, talking about all this. Without marketing and business and all this, it's all based, what we do, what I've always done is technology, but without money and without business, you can't pay for the technology, you can't do anything, you can't employ anybody, you can't do any research, you can do nothing. So the business side is just so important. And now I'm lucky I can do a little bit of pure research, but I always look at the pie, the majority has to be bread and butter, otherwise I can't pay wages, It's vital to be in business and make money. So anyway, this is when I carried on, thought I was a complete genius, and I'm an arrogant bugger now, but you should have seen me then. It was horrible. And this is the end of the 80s, I borrowed a lot of money. My dad passed away in 87, and I ended up, I started borrowing a few $100,000 to expand, which is great in the late 80s. Anybody remember what happened in the late 80s? Slam, yeah, bang, lost everything. Lost my house, ended up owing $1 million at the time, and had 2 little kids. It was the worst thing in the world. Ruined my parents' business, wiped out everything. Even had to put food back on the shelf sometimes, it was that bad. But, and I walked to work for a year, which was character building too, and also I lost weight, because that was one good positive thing. But there was about 6 or 7 years of hell with that. Banks really being horrible. I got up to 20% interest rate on the loans, which you can't pay back, So people don't understand what it's like with that kind of debt. But that's when RØDE sort of kind of kicked off. We were selling anything we could do, anything that moved. I would have sold you if you had moved. But just to keep going another day, it was just crazy. So I had this one mic that I'd bought in China in '81 on a buying trip in my sample room, and I had this guy that I'd brought out from England, Colin Hill. Pommy guy, really clever, great salesman, sell literally the old sand of the Arabs or snow, Eskimos kind of stuff. He's a cracker. Best thing he ever did back when he first came was to sell a disco sound and lighting system to a funeral parlour. And I thought, well, that's pretty good. But the best one, right at the end of it, when he did the upsell, he sold him a smoke machine. So when the coffin went in, there's lights and I'm serious, it was awesome. It looked really good. Appropriate music, they loved it. So anyway, he goes out with this thing and it comes back and says a lot of interest in it, this mic. And that's where the right place at the right time comes in. And so, yeah, you work hard and you're clever, and lots of clever people working hard. But the luck thing is that magic alignment thing, the opportunity. And there's opportunities every day, but that was pretty cool. Where I came along, I didn't know it, at the beginning of the change when digital recording equipment started becoming cheap, and that's the ADAT. I don't know if you guys remember the Lisa's ADAT. Everybody started being able to afford a really high-end digital recorder, $4 grand, $5 grand, not 200, and they all wanted mics. And the expensive ones, the real ones, were $4 grand, and mine was $500. Now ours wasn't as good, but it was close. It was noisy, but we modified it, changed the sort of stupid Russian components, and sometimes you get a diaphragm and they wouldn't be clean, and you could see rubbish underneath, or you change it out, but they worked. And so that was the beginning, and it's a shame I don't have a piece of paper. Do you all know why RØDE is called RØDE? Okay, well, I'll tell you. I have a pen. No, that's cool. So when I kicked off, Colin came back and he said, oh yeah, these things are going to sell as fast as a rat runs up a drain pipe. So I said, right, so it's a rodent. You all see a rodent, right? So we thought, all right, the RØDE NT1, because I know we got NT1, RØDE NT2, that's our line, right? And I thought, yeah, well, let's put the Danish, make it a little bit more European. So that's the story of RØDE. No, don't tell anybody. But true, it's absolutely true. Only one guy in a magazine in England said, RØDE NT1, I smell a rat. Hey, clever, only guy. So, yeah, there is a lot of technical stuff that we do now, which I'll bring up as well, and we can talk about it, but there's still this part of the beginning of the company is really interesting, I think. So we start doing that, and then, as I said, rolling along, not selling many, and I thought, oh, well, we're still in the crap. So I've always travelled. I went to the States to see if I could do some business there with it. And I just rang around. I got some names, and I went to Capital and Ocean Way and Record Plant, and they didn't want anything, but I got names. I'm a salesman. So I got names and did the big, Crocodile Dundee thing, and just want to show you. And as soon as I had the name, I'd ring up and say, oh, so-and-so from Capital, or so-and-so from A&M, so you should hear this. And it rolled on, and you get into the next place. And the turning point for me was when I went to a company called West Delay Music, naturally in West Delay, and after about 4 hours there, they ordered 100 off on the spot, and I nearly cried. You're never going to get sales like that. And the killer, though, is the mic I was just about to demo was broken. It's crackling, and the guy said, oh, it's all right, I can tell from your passion that this is going to be okay. So, but crazy stuff. It was funny, man. Huh? Insanity. But yeah, I knew we had something, and from that I took the booth at NAMM show. I don't know if you guys have been there. It's in Anaheim, Disneyland area, and that's the big music show, National Association of Musical Merchants. And we were down Hall E, which we all call Siberia, but that's where everybody goes when they kick off, and that's where everybody looks, because it's where the hot new guys are going to be. Because anything established, well, you're not going to get it. And we signed 4 or 5 countries that day. That was pretty good. RØDE's a 28-year overnight success. So it's gone quickly in my mind, but it's a long time, I suppose. 50 years for the main company, 41 for me, and 28 for RØDE. So, and I don't think about it. It's just it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. There was still some time in recent history where when we grew, it was tough. Now, not so much, because we've got backing and we've got money and we can grow, and it doesn't sort of scare us anymore. We can afford to do it, but yeah. And I'm too old to do it again. I would just forget. I haven't got the time. Like people say that, why don't you do so and so? Oh, I haven't got the time. It takes 20 years. I'll be dead. So I've done a lot of other stuff. I've designed, mixing consoles for disco, all sorts of stuff. But the mics, when I saw that internationally, I just grabbed it and ran. And we moved away from that first mic and eventually got a better one. With the first one was cardioid only. The next one I went to had better quality control. Again, all from China. And it was great. The people I met, I had an engineer I employed, a Chinese guy from Shanghai, lovely guy, still with me, 28 years later. And it allowed me to speak Chinese and be culturally understanding, etc. And in China, they couldn't understand it. They were selling a couple a year, and we were buying a lot. So they're wondering what's going on here. And eventually, you could see, I could tell they're going to want a piece of this. And that's what drove me into, drove me into wanting to do more and more myself. Yeah. But their quality was good. And the other cool thing is I found that, they financed me. I didn't pay any money for it. So I'd go there and just place orders. I'm not going to pay them for it. And then lots of times I'd be late with the payment and wouldn't pay them. I'd just rock over there with another big order and we'd have a big party and off I'd go again, because it wasn't their money, it was government. So again, another thing, like how do you get millions of dollars worth of free credit? Well, I did, just asked for it. Nobody's going to lend me money then. So yeah, eventually then I thought time to be the master of my destiny, and slowly I started buying machines to be able to do more and more, to the point where we could make things cheaper here and better than they could do over there, which was cool. And when I started, I didn't even have one of those cheap pedestal drills. You know, I think we got over 30 million bucks worth of gear now, CNC machines, robotics, test equipment, everything. But you know, you build on it, and I see that as our barrier to entry. Nobody in their right mind is going to take me on. It's not worth it. If you had 30 million bucks, let's go and buy a building. You know, I'll get you the other 30, and you wouldn't do it. It's just stupid. So there's a lot of safety in having technology. All my competitors, the big ones, Shaw, Sennheiser, AKG, they don't have the gear. They outsource it. AT as well, but not that they're going anywhere, but they don't own the machinery, which is interesting. So their cost base is a lot higher. And I mean, Sennheiser themselves, or Neumann, they admit they are not good at doing lower cost product, because you have to have your own gear, your own tooling, your own machinery. Otherwise you're paying somebody else, or like me, to do it, and then your margin disappears out the window. But yeah, I don't know, you guys know Greg Mackey Sound Systems. Greg always said, "He who tools rules." And I'm like, yeah, so it's true. Actually, to that, and tooling does my head in. You know, to mold everything. It's like that movie, you know, the one the kid said, "I see dead people." You know, I see tooling. Everywhere I look, I see a molding for something or whatever, because we do so much molding. I'm now going to build a tooling facility at our factory. So we're buying 12 million bucks worth of best CNC machines to do the big injection molding tools in-house. And we've already got the injection molding machines in-house now. And that allows you to, instead of 3 or 4 months to get things made, never mind a year and a half to get the tool done, I can get something done overnight, and tools made in a few weeks. Wow, that's power. I mean, chicken and egg there, you got to have the gear, of course. But I love investing, and now I've gone on the tangent of test gear. I love test gear. I'm a test gear junkie. The gear that we own, the latest are into pherometers and the best analyzers for RF, for acoustics, for electronics. The 25-year dream I got last year was my own anechoic chamber, a real one, $800,000 one. The old man would have loved it. Totally shielded, isolated, made in the States, the real deal. And we used to do it in a room with fiberglass on the walls and an RMS SIG generator and B&K, and we just sit there and do the thing, and you get the SPL and put a dot, oh man, that's a frequency response, take you forever. But man, when you have the right gear, it's really cool. All NATA registered, it's really nice. I love it. Yeah, it's a shame he didn't see it all. I mean, he would have freaked out me going through it all, but because he didn't like the risk. But yeah, I started getting into doing other designs, and anybody know AKG C12? So yeah, so that was my first valve mic, or tube mic as the Yanks call it, and I sort of got a really nice transformer made by Jansen. We did the bodies here, actually in Mudgee, in Western Sydney, west of Sydney, and then 607 triode. Sounded great. It's the first really awesome valve mic that we've done a lot since then, and it was the right time for that as well. Now there's heaps of that kind of thing, but then it was special. We sold thousands of them, and it kind of put us in a different level, and people started saying, "Oh wow, Australian audio product." It kind of opened it up for people to believe it could be done. Whereas it used to be Austrians that always go, "There are no kangaroos in Austria," on the trade booth stands and stuff, because they always confuse them. But actually, I got away with murder over in most places. I could say anything, and they'd say, "It's okay, he's Australian." It's really cool. So yeah, other technology. What am I working on now? ASICs, our own chips, our own FETs. We wind our own transformers. I've got the best Swiss coil winding machines. The biggest SMT, most accurate surface mount technology line in the country. can do anything. We can make anything, you know. And that's the other thing, talking about making anything, we can make toothbrushes here, you know, and be competitive with the machines I've got. I've got one injection moulding machine that does 3 kinds of plastics at once. And so if you had something like this thing here with plastic on there and rubber on the end, and no problem. Crazy, automatic, and the robot picks it up and it's doing it while we sleep. So when they say, oh, how can you compete with the low-cost labour? I go, well, that's all right, I've got no labour. And even though we still have a few hundred people working there, they don't touch it that often. Now, with product, I make things I want to buy. I've always, people say, how do you come up with ideas? I've got more ideas than I've got time, because it's just these cool things I want to make. You know, it's not hard, not hard at all. And one of them, where we are the world's largest, is this video area, this video mic. You got a video mic on there? Probably not a RØDE one either, is it? Yeah. #1 in the world, the video mic, and you'll see it on news things every road. But I did that because I wanted to get good audio when I was videoing my son playing rugby when he was a kid, and there was nothing out there, so I thought I could make that, and I did. And then there's the luck again when the digital DSLRs pop up. I got this mic. I didn't predict that they would come. I could tell you I did, but I didn't. I was just using a mini DV thing. So yeah, but actually my son, he's off to Afghanistan next week. He's a Air Force captain, so from little boy to Air Force captain, goes very quickly, doesn't it? Yeah, crazy stuff. But yeah, so we, as the Yanks say, we are the 500-pound gorilla, and do what we like. And you know, we're the #1 selling condenser mic in Germany. How's that? That's insane, isn't it? I can't believe that. But it's true. You know, we have our own marketing office in town, in the company. You know, 20, 30 people, video, social media, advertising, everything in-house. All our industrial design in-house. We could run separate divisions, all done in-house, which is exciting. You know, we moved into broadcast heavily. I got 50 products in the pipeline, especially in this broadcast and video area. That's really taken off. Studio has become very small in comparison. And lives, we do live, but it's not massive. It's all this YouTube and broadcast, and you know, that's where it's exploded. And in emerging countries, you know, an iPhone or something like it with one of our mics, and you've got an outside broadcast van. Which is, it's the truth, it's spectacular, and that's what they're doing. Yeah. And that's one of the areas I'm looking at, certainly with India. We have thousands of people out there. We have that already now, where it's like a mic, little plug-in device goes into the iPhone, there's monitoring off it, you can stand there and listen to yourself. It's top pro, have your phone on there in front of you. They do that, you know, off-air channels now in Sydney. So the reporters just have that in their bag. I mean, quite incredible, especially like the new cameras, or the new phones, such high definition, and then send it to the cloud and you got it, you know. Crazy. Yeah, we do a lot of iOS, a lot of Apple stuff directly in. We got a stereo recorder, go straight into the phone, our own software for that, although I hate devising software, it's a nightmare, it never ends. And the minute somebody says, oh, that'll be easy to do that software, that's the end of that. That's the end of us. We're never going to do that. We're finished. We're dead, you know. So, you know, I mean, there's so much that has happened. There's so much in the company. When I walk around, it kind of freaks you out even, you know, even to think of the millions and millions of people who've bought the product over the years. It's a scary feeling. Sometimes you get like in a nightmare, you see all these people holding up a mic like that's some sort of horror movie or something. But it's real. It's spectacular. And I feel like I have only really just begun. I've got a great team. My engineers, some of the most clever people around, but it is like herding cats, no offense. With the clever engineers, because they go off on tangents. They've got electronics, acoustics, all these people, and they like the new, so I have to keep them focused, allowing them to do a little bit. Some of these guys got multiple doctorates and stuff, but nobody's allowed to say to me, I know that won't work. Nobody will dare, because I've always known that you're burdened by your knowledge, and probably part of my success is because I didn't know something wouldn't work, I tried it. And so many times I found it actually worked. So, you know, if you say it won't work and you haven't tried it, ooh, I'll rip you another one, you know. Go back there and give it a go. Yeah. All right, so as I said, next year, Mandarin Hotel, big party. We're having a 50th. Going to be about 95% of the business done in the world, the people doing it are going to be there for that event. We're hiring at the whole hotel, which is pretty amazing, considering, you know, not having any dough. So I really value it. You know, if I haven't gone from really dead to something like this, it's so special. Actually, and you know, not name dropping, but one of the people that it has been really close to me and really nice to me is Joe Hockey, believe it or not. We got quite friendly. So I rang him last night because he's ambassador now in the States, which is bloody awesome. And so he says he's going to come to the party, which would be great. So we've got a lot of support from a whole heap of people. Ian McFarlane's another good bloke. There's a lot of nice guys. A lot of guys in science here. Milan Brandt, you know, RMIT, you guys know him. If you haven't been over to his advanced manufacturing hub at RMIT, you've got to check it out. That guy's, you know, one of the world's authorities in 3D additive technology, and I mean it's not far from here, so crazy stuff. And we're heavily involved in that as well, growing parts and, you know, metals and plastics and ceramics, and really awesome. And the tolerances we're doing, we go down to nanometers with tolerances now. It's just crazy stuff. So yeah, I've learned a lot. But I mean, I could rave on more about all that, but you know, one of the things I always like to tell everybody, because people say to me, what do I think success is? And I really believe it now. It's, you know, it's not about that. It's not about technology or success, whatever. I mean, it really is a personal thing, isn't it? But I think if you love somebody, you know, I think, and they love you back, right? And you got something to look forward to in life. That's success. That's success to me. And I hope that's something you guys could all feel and know that should be your success if you can have it as well. I wish that for you. So thank you for listening, and remember, never give up. Thank you.
Not quite that quickly.
And I'm taking my mic.
You take, no, you
No.
you paid for it.
Show me the invoice. I mean the receipt.
Peter, thank you very much. You're not quite that quickly though. There's a few questions.
Okay.
On the microphone side, wireless mic, as you say, has become big, but there's been quite a bit of noise in the standards for that. How's that affected you with the development process?
Well, so the one I'm using now is 2.4 gig, so not a problem. No.
And the
No.
future?
Well, yeah. So this design, it's really quite incredible. It's solid. Usually 2.4 gig was like toy. You know, you're going to get wiped out. This will do 6 systems. It works real well. I've got a handheld version. We've got already a dongle broadcast, all in that area. It is entry level. It's church, it's school, it's you know, smaller stuff. So then, yeah, for more higher end UHF, definitely. But that's where your issue is. But I've been working on something, and we've nailed it, and we will be releasing it next year. And basically, it's a device that allows us to set up for any frequency in that one unit.
Okay.
Right. Now, you're not allowed, if I sold you one, you're not allowed to, but if you plug it in to my site at different parts of the world, you can download the patch, and up comes wherever you are, you'll get your right frequencies. That's just a legality thing, you know.
That's good.
Yeah. A lot of investment in that kind of stuff, but as I said, if you get it right, the rewards are insane. Different market, just a whole lot of that UHF thing as well is the strength of the unit, you know, what they expect to do. If it's higher companies, it's all that kind of gear, you know, and they want different things. And frequency management, you know, got a friend who they do all the Olympics, and the 800 or 900 systems being run at once. Yeah, that's just insane, and it's changing all the time, you know.
A lot of companies committed to development early and have got problems.
Yeah, and that's, you know what, it's funny you actually say that. I thank a lot of the big companies for doing my R&D for me in a lot of areas, because I watch what they do, and then when I go, okay, you've screwed that up enough and it's getting good, thank you very much, bang, I jump in. Why spend the money? Let them do it.
Questions?
Yes, sir. Putting aside clearly, and we all clearly see as the fun part of our lives, which is audio engineering in general, and coming up with new products and R&D, the technology, putting all that aside, as a pure business manager, what's the toughest part of your gig, doing what you do in Australia?
Managing people. Every business the same. Yeah, and I've made so many mistakes over the years. You know, when you start off, you think, you know, if you don't like the person, you don't relate to them, it's no good. Well, especially for somebody like me, it's just like, oh, it's not going to work. Now I get it. It's like you have to bring in people that you have nothing in common with, but they're awesome at accounting, or I can't even add up, man. You know, but if we go and we talk about marketing campaigns or something, well, I'll bring in those A-type nutters and we'll bounce across the wall. They're all different. You have to have them all. It's a footy team. And as a manager, you've got to do that. But I am hard but fair. You know, people stay 10, 15 years, not a problem. But I shake it up. Nobody gets comfortable, and anybody who sort of tries it, I don't. You know, if I'm going to jump out of a plane, I'm first out. You know exactly how I feel. I have no fear in telling you. Yes, sir.
In my second millennium, I had an association with startup companies in Australia in a different field, medium-scale engineering.
Sure.
And we fed them ideas and watched them grow from small companies to bigger companies. And part of that process was the same as you experienced, knowing when to get into your own production. A CNC machine, you can buy one, but it costs a lot of money, and you need people to feed it, to design it and set up for it and so on. How did you actually make those decisions at that time? Did they just appear natural to you, or were they carefully considered?
Well, it was like Lennon said, you know, life's what happens when you're busy making other plans. You're just doing it. You don't think about it. I bought one mill, employed one guy. He turned up before that and goes, so you want a metalworking machine? Where are your machines? I said, I don't have any. And then we started. Now, it's what you're saying is correct. You know, with all these machines I'm just about to buy, not about the money, not about all that. I can't bring them in because you need to have the time to set it all up. So you got to do it slowly, as quickly as you can, but you can't just snap your fingers. It's not about the dough. And the amount of IP we have, we've got a lot of great engineers, but everybody's flat out. And finding people as well, you know, it's really hard. That's where money doesn't help you. You can't spend it. You just, so what? And that's why other big companies buy companies, because, well, there it is. They've just gone through all the pain. Thanks very much. Now, when they try and put them together with somebody else, that's when it falls apart again. Standalones, yeah, that kind of works. But yeah, it's hard, man. Exactly what you're saying. Bloody difficult. And 28 years as well, you know. Yeah.
Just on the personal note, one of the things that struck me when I got my pair of NT55s,
Oh, yeah.
the serial numbers appear to be machined into the body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a touch.
Yeah, it's but again, it looks cool, but it's also cheaper because the sliding head CNC, the star machines, they do all the threads, engraving, everything, one hit. So you load in bars at the right kind of size in a big bar feeder, and then you go home and they pop out those mics finished with the serial numbers and the whole lot. Yeah, you don't have to touch it, other than plating it or whatever, you know. And then robotics can pick it up and do that. And we do automated painting lines as well. But everything we do, this is a stupid part of me, I come up with great ideas which turn out to be really hard to do. You know, I'll find it afterwards. Using ceramic paint that I found, which took me a year and a half to work out how to do it. It's a gun paint developed after Desert Storm. It's super hard, only a few microns thick, and you can't wear it off. It's incredible. As I said, they use it on guns. Smith & Wesson is the only other company that do an automated line. Most people do it by hand, so we have an automated line. and we couldn't get it right. So I contacted them, and they went, "I'm not going to tell you." So we reinvented the wheel yet again. It's the same as reinventing the wheel with transducers, making mic capsules. Go and find somebody who'll teach you how to do that. Not going to happen. Nobody's going to tell you. So, all right, let's give it a go. And eventually you do it. And come up with new stuff.
Do you remember the radio personality Jack Day?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
He had a saying, bite off more than you can chew and then chew like butter.
Totally. It's true. It's true. And it's the same with that duck, you know, on the surface, nice and smooth underneath. That's us, for sure. But I like it. You know, we all like it. Within, you know, you can't be stupid. I don't enter into races I'm never going to win, you know, but I don't mind really pushing it hard. Not at all. I enjoy it.
Yes. Thanks for your story. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
For me, a really important part of your story is that this is something that has been done in Australia. But I couldn't help noticing that as you were telling us about how you've expanded and you told us about acquisitions you'd made, and you're obviously proud of a lot of those acquisitions. In every case, part of the merit, the way you characterised the acquisition, was where it came from, and none of them were from Australia. Your anechoic chamber was from America, and you were telling us about CNC machines and so on from other
Sure.
places. Now, I wonder if you just regard yourself as a world player, or whether you see the fact that this success has happened in Australia is important. And if it's important, why isn't it important for the people who, say, in Australia could offer you an anechoic room?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super proud that I've been able to do it here. But sadly, there is no industry for machines like the Anchor, ANCA. They're quite successful. They're a tool grinding company. That's the only one I know of. But there are no others that I know. We used to make everything here prior to trade barriers, you know, dropping, which was, some of it was bad too, because the protectionist side allowed people to make rubbish. But I mean, AWA made capacitors, valves, speakers, plessy, all, and it was everything, and it all gone, you know. So that's sad. But when we kicked off, it was 45 to 50% duty. And I like the fact that you know, it's an even playing field. So going back to what you're saying, I am blessed to be able to live in the best country in the world, here, but I am an international company. We do a fraction of our sales here, nothing. I wouldn't be in business if it was for Australia. It's all over there. And you know, when I'm in the States, lots of people think it's a US company. I don't care where they think it's from, well, they buy it, you know. And it is sad. I see more and more technology though coming out of Australia. It's higher end. It's not just apps either. I know of companies that are doing some cool electronics. We have electronics in for navigation, aeronautical navigation. I think Thompson. There's a lot of companies. People don't know them. You go to the Export Awards, or you go, oh, a couple of hundred companies that you knew nothing about. They're not kind of mainstream, but they're there and they're growing. You know. And hopefully what I'm doing is going to encourage more and more people. But you just I just say get out there and do it rather than, don't give me a business plan. You know, just go and get a ticket and try it. You'll find out real fast, you know.
Need to see me before you do your next anechoic chamber.
Oh, okay.
Questions?
How long did it take before you could breathe? Before you could go to bed without your brain exploding or being...
I don't think I ever have.
Oh, you still can't breathe?
No, better. But
You know,
it affects you.
balls are in the air.
What happened? It affects you forever. So there's a price to pay for everything, and I paid it personally, emotionally, everything. So
Was it worth the price?
how do you know? Honestly, probably not. Yeah, and the dough's cool, but so what?
You're not going to stop, Peter.
No, I love what I'm doing, right? But it's a good question, though. It's sort of like, wow, because I remember, I have a mate who's really, really, really rich, and he says, it looks so much better from the outside, doesn't it? And I went, yeah. So the dreaming was better. And then all of a sudden, you know, I said, I walked to work, now I've got 12 cars. You know, I got Ferrari, I got anything I want. So what? You know, some of the, like that little house that I had to sell my wife, I sold her car to pay wages. You don't have to do that shit. And you can't go back from that. So that's where you pay for it, you know. But it's not, I mean, it's thousands of stories like that. But yeah. I became a nicer person. So I realised anybody could fall. Remember, before that I was this smart ass going, oh, I'm so clever.
Questions?
Peter, what percentage of your turnover would be dedicated to R&D?
Oh, at least 20%, maybe a bit more now. Yeah. Yeah, we spent a lot of money. Yeah, but we got to do it. You know, that's where it all comes from. You know, without it, you get nothing. And I'm Mr. Tomorrow. That's all I think about. What are we coming with next? What are we doing? As soon as something is kind of ready, it's the design's done. It's like next, I'm off. I'm not even thinking about it anymore. And people used to hate it. Like even my sales guys would have a great month, and they'd say, "Oh, wasn't it cool? We made budget." I said, "Cool. What's next month?" "I'll give us one day." "Nope." "No." But if you have that attitude, that's the driven part of it. I did do the head in. But I also changed people's attitudes. Like this guy, everybody said Europe closed and America closed during the summer. So it's kind of like the sales, they went down. It was like the cycles. And I said, no, not interested. It's going to be, they got to buy it. The distributors don't want it. I don't care. Put it in the warehouse or I'll sack them. And guess what? I've never had a bad month since. And stock pressure makes them go, oh shit, we better sell this. So lucky them, I'm making more money. Where's the problem? It's attitude, isn't it? See, it's the brutal side again.
Questions up the back?
Something really curly.
Just you spend a lot on R&D. What do you do about IP protection?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. The best protection is selling a lot of product. That's the best one. At a great price, because then competitors can't come under you. It's like, it's not worth it. All right. Now, if you come along and say to me, I've got a way to make water into petrol, one, I'm going to get you a bodyguard, and two, yeah, we'll patent it. Other than that, just a waste of time. Design registrations, yeah, they're pretty cool and very cheap and easy to do. So I make the look of something. And certainly my logo and the gold dot, that's registered everywhere. But patents, not a big fan, you know, really. I think they're kind of more trouble than they're worth. And you've got to defend it, you know. If you get somebody like me, if I see, not that I would, but you know, if somebody had something insane and you got to have it or you're out of business, guess what I'm going to do? I'm just going to steal it and use it. Now you sue me. Got the money? Oh, I have a patent. Too bad. Sue me. Oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, well, now you have to. And that's what they do. The big companies got more money than the guy with the patent.
Well, with the way the technology moves, by the time you get the patent through the patent office, it's superseded.
Sure.
So telling everyone how to do it.
Yeah, well, and that's why the drug companies, what do? They release a bit of it. They've got the rest of the stuff coming so they can do another one halfway through and an ad, and that, you know, they're clever at it, but there's billions in that game. You know, I hate it when people say to me, I'm going to patent this, and I go, oh, do I want to tell you? I don't know, yeah, usually I shut up. But also, I will not let anybody tell me their idea either. That's banned. Do not come, somebody goes, don't tell me. Otherwise, I have had in America, because they're all insane, you know, come frothing with guns and stuff, and like, you stole my idea, man. You know, like, oh shit. I paid plenty of people. Some nutter came in a trade show with this drawing of a trade show booth that it was completely out there, that he reckoned I'd stolen, you know. I paid him $500. Go away. I've given money to people, given back the money for the mic they bought from somebody in a store. I didn't sell them the mic. Made them promise never to buy another RØDE mic again. But there's some mad people out there. They're scary. So yeah, people say, oh, you know, because I mean, I am the big fish in the little pond. I don't want to be famous. That's horrible, you know. Spare me the glory, give me the money. I don't want to know anything about it. That's frightening stuff.
There's a question here.
No,
Just this one.
the microphone diaphragm material,
Mm-hmm.
does that get made in big sheets and then you stamp out the shape for each?
You can do both, depending on the mic. So Mylar, DuPont, Mylar, and they, you know, anything from 2 micron up to sort of 6 is usually the thickest. And then usually, you know, 24 karat gold sputtering on that. You don't have to have very much gold on it. And then tensioning it is required. But depending if it's center connected, then you're going to have to mask the diaphragm. So then you are using a sputtering machine. You are making individual ones, and you've got a target, and you are making individual diaphragms. Or I can get you a roll of it if you're just doing an edge connected diaphragm, or metal ones. There's all sorts of techniques. Tensioning, aging, you know, is another thing done with heat. So because you get of course you make a diaphragm, and after all these experiments, we find out it needs to be this resonance off the back plate, because it'll turn into that on the back plate, and then you have to age the diaphragm with heat over this many hours. Otherwise, after 6 months or a year, it's completely changed. Yeah. So.
You mentioned how hard it is to hire the engineers you have.
Yeah.
And also some of the assets your company has.
Mm-hmm.
Have your competitors ever tried to acquire your company? Or do you think
Sure.
they will in the future?
Yeah. I've had heaps of offers. That shits them because you know, I don't need the money, so I'm not going anywhere. Like, and it's the craziest thing. I'm like this hot girl everybody wants, and the more I say no, the more they want me. It's human beings. Or maybe I'm a hot guy. No. But it's funny, human beings, the VCs and stuff. So no, but yeah, if I ever get out, because I made sure my kids were not going to be involved in my company. I didn't want them to. Because of my experience. So when I do decide to get out, if I don't drop dead in the game, I'll just sell it. All right. Yeah, but it's not about, it's about having something to do. If I didn't do this, it would be bad. I think I'd start drinking booze at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or something. And it's like, you know, it'd be bad for you. Or maybe that's not so bad.
That is bad.
But it is. You know what I'm saying. You've got nothing to do. You've got nothing to live for. Yes, ma'am.
Right.
You've got this fantastic manufacturing plant. Do you actually, do you ever use it for third-party products or other people?
Haven't got the time. Haven't got the capacity.
Flat chat the whole time?
Yeah, have not got the capacity to do anybody else's work. We are never, we're never in stock.
That's the problem you have when you're a world leader.
Yeah, but I want to have a month's buffer. That's been the goal for a while of stock, but we haven't got there yet, and that's my aim. There is a theory of constraints, book, which is very clever, but you don't want too much, but have not enough. Now the pressure's not on the sales guys; it's on production. But as well with mine, we try and improve profitability by buying well. So we use a lot of brass, a lot of aluminium. So you import it. Brass out of India, all this sort of, okay, tons of it, you know, $1 million worth of brass in a container or something, yeah, but you can make another 40% on your, it's how you buy, it's where you make your money. And you go to a company and you say, how much for 1 million of them? You've got their attention. And the price just dies, you know, instead of before it's like, I've got to buy 4. You're like, what? Go to JCar, you know. So, but yeah, chip vendors come and see us now. They fly in. It's just crazy. And as I said, I want to. Well, we are working on a project to make our own IC and ASIC, and so you can take something that would sell for $300. It'd probably be this big, incredibly current hungry, just stupid. Drop it down to about this big at 60 cents, and it can run off batteries. Now you're talking. He who tools rules. $8 million and a lot of time, and the first one you do on a wafer won't work, guaranteed. But that's what the big companies, the real companies do that, your Sonys and Samsungs. And try making an iPhone, see how big it would be. And the size of this room probably, I mean, you couldn't do it. Yeah.
You said that you have trouble finding the engineers and the senior staff that you need to make your business successful.
Yeah.
How do you find
Bring them in. import them all over the world. Bringing in one from Czech at the moment, one from the UK. I've brought in half a dozen so far, trained some here. I also I've started the last couple of years bringing in young graduates, good ones. Pretty hard for them to get in, but the ones who come in are awesome. And next year I'm going to put on a couple of PhDs as well, just for projects that we want to work on. There's a lot of clever people here. They just don't have the opportunity. But say a young guy wants to, or a girl wants to do get a PhD in acoustics or something, I'll give them a project. I've got heaps. They get their doctorate out of that, no worries. But actually that's funny, I said, or girl, there's no women in the game. It's never attracted, women aren't attracted to the industry, same as machining. And so we are going to actively bring in kids, school kids at the right age to say, hey, it's not dirty machining, it's computer operation, it's super high. They can earn a couple $100,000, easy, and find a job anywhere. So there's more women in the marketing side, but no, not in the engineering side.
Do you have any interaction with the universities or trade schools?
Yeah, I'm on the business school board of UTS in Sydney. So I do a bit of that, and I'm New South Wales Uni, Sydney, RMIT, Monash. I know all the people because of all the science things that we work on with additive and these CRCs, the cooperative research. I'm heavily involved with those as well, lobbying governments and stuff. But that's so sad. We just did it. You get a lot of money and then nothing happens. So I go off and get back to work and do my own thing again, There's no drive here for that. It's like they don't want to do it. In China, wow, you want to talk about IP and actually getting something happening? Yeah. And it's as far as protection, people say, oh, I've got to be worried about protecting myself in China. No, you don't. They have the strongest IP laws in the world now because they want to be protected from you. They are strong and they're producing more IP than anybody else. So they're awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
In the lexicon of good ideas that just come and go in the blink of an eye in a company such as yours, how do you separate the wheat from the chaff? How do you go, okay, that one's worth pursuing, and that one might be, but it's not. Where do you?
Well, it used to be me being a benevolent dictator, but
How do you pursue it?
well, there are systems for it. Swarovski is one of the ones that do a very clever one. There's a guy, Cooper, Professor Cooper from Canada, and he's got a thing called StageGate. I don't know if you've heard of it. You should check it out. And he has a system specifically for that. It's portfolio management, new product development. And it shows you exactly how to do that. And Swarovski does it. They call in ideas from everybody, customers, staff, millions of things. And it goes into a funnel, there's all these cartoon drawings, and then they all discuss it. And eventually something, comes out and they do it. And then the other side of it is don't be scared to give it a go, because if you don't, you never know. And we fail all the time. And I tell staff, that's all right. Give it a crack. I don't mind if you blow $100,000 on something, but you better have thought about it. And when people come to me, I don't care how clever they are, I'm logical, so I can ask you questions, even if you've got degrees out the yin-yang, and you better have the answers. But if you do, we'll try it. And then that's where the magic comes in. But also, you don't want to fall in love with stuff. I had a friend of mine in the States, and he was a journalist, and they had a magazine, and they call it the rat's ass thing, where they sit around and go, we're going to do this, we're going to do. Okay, does anybody really give a rat's ass about this or not? And they go, you're right, nobody does. And then off to the next one, because you've got to be...
When you create an idea, to fall in love with it.
Of course.
This narcissistic human urge to go, this stuff is best.
Mate, Emperor's New Clothes. Nobody's going to go, oh, that's really shit, but I'm not going to say it's shit. But if you do that, it's like, but that's the same thing. And in stage gating, they talk about that very thing. They show you have these gatekeepers and stages, and you can go all the way to the point where you're just about the ship. You spent $20 million, and they go, can it? Why? Because it's better to lose 20 million than 200 million. Now that takes balls, but that's how you do it. Hard, And you've got to have really, really clever people and systems. And business is littered with people who go, oh, it was too late. No, it's not. And, you know, even in our early stages, we come like, wow, if we do this thing will hover and it'll do. All right, try it. Comes back, it doesn't actually hover. It just sort of does this. Like, next.
Certainly thank Peter for coming down and giving us a most entertaining.